Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Inner Earth. Today, I want to read and discuss with you something that I put together on Spirit Mythos not too long ago, but actually, it's a composite of information that goes back and is quoted back into the 1980s. So, I'm going to begin with the reading of it now. The interior world contains many healing centers, but the most prominent is the Aura Healing Garden. It is here that many souls come both in the physical and non-physical to be attuned to the healing graces within them. Years ago, I came into the inner plane's presence of the guiding entity of the garden who addressed himself to me as Michael. No, not the archangel, or not at least that was not my impression. But I was experiencing health problems at the time, and his guidance and my presence etherically in the garden was very healing for me. Now, before I continue, I want to talk about Michael a little bit more. This is a very interesting experience for me because Michael was not standing there with robes and long hair and looking all illuminary-like. He was in a suit, a nice clean-cut white suit, kind of like, I hate to say it, but kind of like Ricardo Montalban when he was doing, Fantasy Island. I mean, that's what it looked like, folks. But I don't think he had a tie. I don't really remember, but I know there was a white suit and it looked very modern, and he had a modern haircut. And no, he did not look like Ricardo Montalban, but, he did have the outfit on. And, he acted like just a regular person, a person that was very, suave, elite, Ricardo Montalban type, in the sense that no accent, but, just a very nice, presentable person. And you felt his sincerity, though. You really felt the depth of sincerity. And we didn't communicate a lot, but there were talks. And there was more than talks. The basic thing about it was feelings, and he'd sit with me in the garden and we'd just look at each other. And I thought, wow, isn't this a nice conversation? And we really weren't having one. Not telepathically or otherwise, as far as I know. But I did talk to him a little bit. And I did ask him where he was from. So, I expected him to say, well, over, in this place over here, around the corner by the stream or something, like being in an inner earth. But no, he didn't say that. He said, I am from your future. And he left it at that. But he did say that this future, was a time where, as a time traveler, they were able to come back and help certain things along. And a lot of them, apparently, some of them were doing it by going into the inner earth. I mean, I really don't know. He didn't share all that much about it, but I found it very interesting. Now, this isn't a Lemurian time walker. Many of you have heard me talk about. This was a whole different thing, and he was coming from the future and not the past, as far as we understand such things. So I just thought I'd mention that. The grounds of the gardens are beautifully landscaped, replete with flowers, trees, fountains, and graceful, gentle animals. Within this magical setting are several white luminous buildings. These contain rooms with picture window views of the garden, some including vistas of the Trial mountain range as well. The rooms are not large, but arranged so that there's a feeling of expansiveness and light. They are each decorated simply, with predominant colors, usually white, accented with other delicate colors. The sparse furnishings include a pallet couch bed. Above the pallet and set into the ceiling is a large multifaceted crystal, movable within its socket. While much of the healing work utilizes these crystals, the garden itself is the most powerful radiating force. Many seekers come in astral body, so it is not unusual to see people appear and disappear as they journey down the paths of the grounds, like ghosts in a floating dream, blending their minds and hearts with the great oaks, twining roses, and butterflies. In such a state, one can glide through the air above a curling stream with a toe in the water, tracing the currents like a dolphin's fin. And I did this once. I'd like to pause to talk about that for just a moment. It was really an amazing experience. It was in a what I thought was a dream, but I know now it obviously was not. In fact, I knew that the minute I woke up. It was an astral projection. It was incredibly real, and I could feel the water on my toe. And I was literally gliding along just above the surface and tracing my, I thought, I think I'll stick my toe in the water, and I could, and I felt the water. I didn't know where I was. It was not till a little time later that I realized, sometime later, that I realized it was in the Aura Healing Garden. But it was really quite an experience. To continue, yes, those of the surface earth can and do visit the garden in astral form at times. Unlike the interior world inhabitants, most surface dwellers do not realize where they are, as I didn't, thinking it to be only a dream of their sleeping mind. Well, I did know it was an astral trip, but I did not realize where I was. The high devas, the fairies of the garden, are there for the purpose of devoting light, love, and essence to the rejuvenation and comfort of the human souls who venture there. The Akashic reveals to me that the devas or nature beings can assume many forms. Creatures like unicorns and dragons, which we consider to be mythical, are actually creatures which exist in various dimensions of the earthen experience. They appear to us in forms which are a combination of their own energy being and human consciousness, i.e. how we think they should look. For instance, unicorns are the highest evolutionary archetypes of horses. Dragons are the highest evolutionary archetype of the serpent and lizard creatures. Dragons tend to morph into images which are more correspondent to our mental pictures of them, as they are more amorphous in nature, coming from the primal fire at the center of the planet. Unicorns are what Thoth calls the Christed ones of the David kingdom. They have very pure energy fields and tend to appear more genetically stable in their true form. Just because these creatures are not before our eyes in the everyday world, this does not make them any less real than a tiger, a dog, or a horse. They are among us, nevertheless, and can be seen and communed with whenever we open our eyes and our hearts to their presence. The waters of the streams and the many springs gushing and bubbling up from the sacred ground there are the purest and most energizing of the interior. While one may come across small springs, pools, and uplifting fountains throughout the garden, the favored place for the partaking of the elemental life of the garden waters is at the tortoise pool. It is the smallest and most sequestered in the garden. Here near the stream's shoulder, where the bright moss forms golden ringlets upon the dripping rocks, is the figure of a large tortoise carved of milk green jade. The tortoise is a symbol of wisdom and patience. It is also an icon of inherited knowledge being harbored for an age to come. It is said in the records of the people of the interior that when the tortoise finally speaks, the world will listen. And I might add, in 2017, now is the time. The great Shah magicians often turn themselves into tortoises for ritual memory and communion with the past. Unicorns, as well as live tortoises, can be found in the Aura Healing Garden. They are rare now, even in the inner earth. Unicorns are not what they appear to be to us, that is, horses with a horn on their foreheads. They have assumed this shape from the mass consciousness and archetypification of the world's image of them. In the Aura Healing Garden, the unicorns are more communicative with human guests, both in the physical and astral, than they are in the wilderness regions. And now, I'm going to read to you a riddle that I received in 1989. The occasion was a group of people who were doing a sacred journey that included the Isle of Man off the coast of Scotland. And this sacred journey was actually being kind of guided by Thoth through me, although I was not on the trip. So they were receiving certain information from me. They were putting it together, going on the journey, and of course they had their own insights and inspiration and stuff that was coming through as well. So I received a certain amount of information for them, and one of the things I received was this riddle. Now, I never was able to decode it. I really didn't try, nor were they, to my knowledge. So I really don't know why it was given. And I must say that it was given to me just instantly. It was just boom, there it was. And while I'm a fairly good writer, I am not a person who can rhyme well at all. Believe me, when I was a young girl and I wanted to write some songs, like I think every teenage girl almost wants to do, I could not do it. I was like, what rhymes with day? Oh, May. Yes, May rhymes with day. I was no good at that. I never have been, and I'm not now. But this was given to me, boom, just there. And so I'm going to share it with you. And I thought that in 2017, perhaps there might be some people out there that would like to try to decode it, And if you do, please share it with me. I would love to know. So, and I'm going to actually put this, the verse here, this into where I embed this video on that page. I will put it in text there so you'll have something to study, This would be kind of a fun treasure hunt in a way. So here goes. 4 turns to the power of 8. Find the bridge that is the mate. Coffers full, resolve to time. Trace the path of the sacred 9. As he grows in lavender mist, silver bears he to a tryst. Gold is broken upon his brow, as heather bows before the plow. Lightning scores the 10 to 1, and with this stroke a circle done. Follow close the path of 9, seek ye there, and ye shall find. Bring the 1, the lightning born, to sacred ground beneath the horn. And here shall rise the dragon's hand, that none shall stay the day of man. The guardian of the spiral, the maze, the labyrinth, is that creature of light and perfection within the natural realm, known to us as the unicorn. We see this apparition as a mythic contingent of our brighter dreams, pale, serene, untouchable, yet all the more alluring. For in the subtleties of these deepest passions, we ache to embrace spirit, to soar as it soars, and to glorify being as does the unicorn, who is the entity of our desire to be released from the struggle of matter. Unconsciously, we bend as a blade of grass to the breezes of truth in legend. The unicorn curves the streams of our night vision toward secret forests, wherein our souls may look upon him and share in his blessings of solitude. As the most regent of nature beings, he is both high deva and animal. While other species have a commanding deva that is their master form or archetype, the unicorn, every unicorn, is a master form unto itself. Yet they are also embodied as physical creatures abiding in a natural state within the central earth of this planet. The inner earth is slightly removed from this dimension, but it is nevertheless physical and exists in space-time beneath our feet. It is what Thoth calls the Holy of Holies, or sacred hollow of the earth. The Central Earth unicorns are kept within the maintained gardens, for they now require special attention in order to survive. Some of the most excellent specimens of the unicorn are cared for at the Aura Healing Garden, where their beneficial healing tones are used in treating imbalanced biostreams. The subterranean unicorns maintain a distant nature and are not quite as accessible to the mental and physical touch as are the other inner world animals. However, once a being, whether human or animal, is accepted by a unicorn, there is a close bond between them. No other animal or in the earth possesses the depth of love and purity of soul as does this enigmatic one of the etheric melodies. And I'd like to say also here, this part that I'm reading here was written in the early 1980s. And Thoth is informing me that now the unicorns are being introduced back out into other areas of the inner earth in preparation for them coming outward into our earth when it becomes part of the Pyramidus radius matrix. Now, when we're dealing with time, does inner earth time sequence up with our time? These are questions I really can't answer at the moment, but I'm telling you that whatever sequencing he's talking about here means that we are now in sync with the inner earth that is allowing unicorns outward, not allowing, helping them to go outward into other areas of the greater inner earth in anticipation of them coming forward into our world. So they're being introduced into less stable vibrational realms and helping them, cope with that and become stable in those realms. The singular horns of the unicorns are delicate tuning devices, able to send and receive harmonic interactions with the vibrating universe. It was a bonding of the 7 unicorns in their high Davic forms that the Elohim, creator lords, worked through to set the harmonic of this planet in the first trigram, that age in which the earth was being aligned as a sacred temple. It was through the unicorn, then, that this world was given the word in the nature realm, which is the holy tone of the living spiral, beginning the interfacing of the earth-human spiralic function. Thus the shining horned ones are worthy of the title guardians of the spiral. It is worth noting that, of course, unicorns in their highest beingness, the ones that were the 7 and working with the Elohim and all of that, did not appear as horses with horns. That is how they appear to us in this realm, and they take a physical manifestational form as such in the inner earth and will on the surface earth at a certain time within the Pyramidus radius. And they also will be with us in the new Earth star, both in their unicorn form and in their greater form. So that said, we will continue with the last paragraph here. There are 2 especially amazing books written on unicorns, which I like to believe in my heart and soul contains actual photographs of unicorns. Probably they are not, but I have not asked because I do not want to know. They're so beautiful in this book, I want to think that they are real unicorns. But really it doesn't matter because the impression is so great. So let me continue here. These are unicorns I have known and unicorns of Kilimanjaro, both by renowned photographer Robert Vivara. Whether or not the photographs are genuine, Vivara has reached a true understanding of the nature and habits of unicorns in these marvelous books. Unicorns still do exist upon the surface of the planet. Since they are able to travel interdimensionally and shield themselves from sight with a form of sonar, they can be born, live, and die in our midst and yet removed from our consciousness. Well, now this is true, but they, in a way, have to be removed. In other words, they can't just walk among us for a lot of reasons, but one is the vibratory nature of the level of this planet is not reached that point. So their shielding contains their own vibrational essence, and not all unicorns can do this. I didn't really go into that here. So this is an area that could be explored greatly, just when unicorns can do this, what unicorns can do this, and why they do it. So I'm not going to get into that here. But when we go into the Pyramidus radius, they will be freely present with us. And when we go into the new Earth star, they will be even more present with us. And so that concludes, everyone, my video on unicorns for today anyway. It's been an interesting day, and I'm glad that I was able to share all of this with you, despite the interesting day. Love to you all.